Welcome to our U.S. Briefing Show. Today, we're diving into some exciting and important news. First up, Jerome Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve, hints that interest rate cuts might be on the horizon, aiming to support the fragile job market and boost economic growth. His speech at Jackson Hole suggests the Fed might adjust its policies despite political pressures, emphasizing decisions based solely on data. Next, tensions escalate between the U.S. and China over Chinese students. Beijing has criticized the U.S. for unfair treatment, including prolonged interrogations and detention, which China says undermine educational exchanges and discriminate against Chinese students at the border. The diplomatic clash highlights ongoing concerns about politicization and restrictions faced by Chinese scholars. Finally, redistricting battles heat up as California and Texas redraw their congressional districts. California's new map favors Democrats, while Texas pushes for stronger Republican control, sparking a fierce political tug-of-war. These efforts reflect the ongoing struggle over electoral power and the influence of gerrymandering, shaping the future of U.S. elections. Please continue to watch for the detailed stories. CNN reports that Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell has signaled the possibility of imminent interest rate cuts, a move that would mark the first reduction during Donald Trump's presidency. During a pivotal speech at the Jackson Hole Economic Symposium, Powell expressed concern over the fragile state of the labor market, noting that downside risks to employment are increasing and that the current restrictive monetary policy might need adjustment. The backdrop of his remarks is unprecedented, with the Trump administration intensifying its scrutiny of the Fed, including investigations into Fed officials and efforts to influence its composition by nominating and dismissing key figures. As the administration pushes for rate cuts and seeks to reshape the central bank's leadership, Powell remains committed to making decisions based solely on economic data, emphasizing that political influence will not sway the Fed's policies, despite mounting pressures and potential changes to its governance structure. South China Morning Post highlights Beijing's strong condemnation of the United States' treatment of Chinese students at U.S. borders, accusing Washington of discrimination and human rights violations. Chinese officials, led by Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning, condemned the practice of detaining students in small, dark rooms for extended periods, sometimes over 70 hours, and subjecting them to unrelated and overly intrusive questioning. China has demanded that the U.S. investigate and rectify these actions, which it claims have severely damaged bilateral relations and academic exchanges. This issue is part of a broader pattern of increased scrutiny and restrictions on Chinese students in the U.S. since Trump's administration, including visa denials and revocations targeting students in critical fields, with over 6,000 visas revoked since 2017. Beijing's protests underscore ongoing tensions over perceived politicization of academic and immigration policies, fueling diplomatic discord and complicating people-to-people exchanges between the two nations. According to the Associated Press, the ongoing redistricting efforts in Texas and California are poised to significantly alter the rare partisan balance currently observed in American politics. Last year's congressional elections resulted in a narrow 220 to 215 majority favoring Republicans, which closely aligned with the popular vote share. However, the AP's analysis reveals that in about one-third of states, districts were drawn to favor one party over the other, with California notably gaining 6 more seats than expected for Democrats, and Texas securing nearly 2 additional seats for Republicans. California's Democratic-led legislature, under Governor Gavin Newsom's influence, is attempting to redraw district lines to favor Democrats and secure 5 more seats in the upcoming elections, echoing Texas's Republican-driven efforts to solidify their majority. These moves are part of a broader strategic contest, with both states engaging in a form of gerrymandering, either through political manipulation or natural voter clustering, to tilt the electoral playing field. This battle over district boundaries is not only about immediate political gains but also about shaping the partisan landscape for the next decade, with California's independent commission drawing maps without political data, yet still ending up with a Democratic advantage, illustrating the complex and often unpredictable nature of redistricting. The Associated Press further details how this intense redistricting tug-of-war has reignited in Texas after California's recent legislative maneuvers. California's Democratic governor signed legislation to hold a special election aimed at approving a new congressional map designed to benefit Democrats, retaliating against Texas's Republican-led efforts to redraw districts in favor of GOP candidates, encouraged by former President Donald Trump. This escalation reflects a broader national trend where states controlled by one party aggressively redraw districts to maximize electoral advantages, an act known as gerrymandering, either through packing opposing voters into a few districts or diluting their influence across many. The political stakes are high, as the current district configurations place Democrats within striking distance of a House majority, with the potential for states like Ohio and Missouri to follow suit. This ongoing contest underscores the fragility of the current congressional balance and highlights how state-level redistricting battles are shaping the future of American political power, with both sides warning of the risks of escalating partisan warfare. The Associated Press highlights the vibrant autumn literary season, emphasizing the return of some of the most anticipated authors and titles after long absences. Angela Flournoy's The Wilderness, her second novel following her acclaimed debut, The Turner House, exemplifies the personal journey of a writer balancing motherhood, a pandemic, and speaking engagements, relishing the creative freedom of novel writing. Meanwhile, literary giants like Thomas Pynchon, Kiran Desai, Wendell Berry, and George Packer are making their fiction comebacks, with Pynchon's Shadow Ticket marking his first novel since 2013, and Desai's The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny her first in 2 decades. This season also features a rich array of nonfiction, memoirs, and genre-bending works from celebrated authors such as Margaret Atwood, Arundhati Roy, and Salman Rushdie, alongside eagerly awaited sequels and new releases from popular series and authors, reflecting a dynamic and diverse literary landscape. The South China Morning Post reports on escalating U.S.-Venezuela tensions and China's strategic response, revealing Beijing's likely increase in economic support rather than military aid. As the U.S. intensifies its pressure, sending naval forces and offering a $50 million bounty on Maduro, China reaffirms its backing, emphasizing diplomatic and economic measures. Experts suggest China will deepen its economic ties with Venezuela, expanding oil trade, technology transfers, and investments, while deliberately avoiding military confrontation to prevent regional destabilization. China's long-standing relationship with Venezuela, marked by billions in investments and strategic oil partnerships, remains a vital component of Beijing's broader geopolitical strategy to counter U.S. influence in Latin America and the Western Hemisphere, underscoring the intricate dance of diplomacy and economic leverage amid rising global tensions. The Associated Press details how green spaces are vital in combating record-breaking heat, especially in marginalized communities most vulnerable to climate impacts. In Chicago, families like Keith Lambert's manage extreme temperatures through simple yet effective strategies such as minimizing exposure and drawing insulated shades, illustrating the broader issue of environmental injustice rooted in historic policies like redlining. Experts emphasize that planting trees and creating green areas can significantly reduce urban heat, providing cooling, improving air quality, and fostering community resilience. Cities like New York and Phoenix are actively working to expand urban forests and green infrastructure, recognizing that equitable access to green spaces is crucial for health and survival amid rising temperatures. These efforts aim to address racial and socioeconomic disparities, transforming urban landscapes into healthier, cooler environments for all residents. The AP also highlights innovative data-driven solutions and community initiatives addressing climate inequities. California's Latino Climate and Health Dashboard exemplifies efforts to visualize disparities, showing that 90% of Latinos face higher pollution and heat exposure, which hampers outdoor activity and health. Such tools enable policymakers and community groups to identify vulnerable areas and prioritize interventions, like planting shade trees at bus stops or developing urban green spaces, to mitigate heat effects. These strategies not only improve physical health but also foster social cohesion by creating accessible community spaces. As climate change accelerates, these localized, data-informed approaches are vital for building equitable resilience, ensuring that vulnerable populations are not left behind in the fight against rising temperatures and environmental injustice. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.